I have finally finished my junk journal, but that's not why you're here. You're here because the title of the episode says Junk Journal Flip Through, and I have a completed junk journal here that I have not shown anyone. My name is Tamara, this is my art, this is my studio, and I'm a mixed media artist from South Africa who lives and works in Warsaw, Poland. I am very happy that you're here. If you're new, welcome, welcome. If you're not so new, welcome. I hope you will enjoy what I have to show you, and I hope you're open to some of my thoughts and observations. But if you're not about the talking, I hope you enjoy my junk journal. Okay, here we are at the cover, which I did repaint. Initially it said like grumpy and grungy AF, and then as time went on, my own style developed a little bit and I was able to change this to something that meant more to me. So it's one of my little grumpy characters, and when you open him, he has, of course, half a skull. The back of the journal, as you can see, it's not very well protected. It's got specks of paint, but this was inspired by One Tooth Moose. But I was incredibly excited when I painted this because it looked more like my own, and I had used elements that I liked, like eyes and a piece of tape that I had gotten. And I really like this motif of like polka dots and white earrings with spots on it. So that's what that is. But I definitely am more in love with the front of the cover. As you go in, there's a very horrible, rude message, which just says you are cordially, humbly, joyfully invited to FRITSCHI, which is something that no South African wants to hear. This is definitely at the phase of me wanting to do more than just female faces that look pretty. And you can see I was heavily inspired by Iris in the beginning, and then I just didn't want to paint them pretty, and I wanted to paint them weird and also spell weird incorrectly. But this is more what I wanted to move towards. I just didn't really know how. I didn't know that the how was just in the doing. Again, heavily inspired by Iris. Iris has done a lot of these ravens, and after I did it and I realized this was where I saw it from, I felt a little bit despondent. But this was also integral to my growth because finally I started doing something that I liked, and this would never have come up without this. So I think it's really cool that you can see the evolution in this junk journal of other people influencing me and trying to find my way, and then very suddenly, poof, Tamara. Of course, not spelling things correctly. This is spring, summer, autumn, winter, and this is me like putting some sense of humor into my art. And this is my take on Polish weather, that it's always grey. This is me trying to get into some character illustration. This is a Leshy, someone that lives in the forest, and this is a lyric from a Ukrainian song. This was me totally just experimenting, but this is where I first started doing fat art and exploring my body and the idea of body. It happened here first, and then it happened in other places, which is so interesting. I never realized that until I looked at this junk journal. More about body, but this is more about body and consciousness, and you know, that sounds weird, but because it's a junk journal, it also pushed me to kind of experiment, and I love this body that turns into a chameleon. And I like the color scheme. It's nothing special, but I do like it. Okay, got some sticky stickies. If you're on Instagram, you have seen this before. I would now do these eyes so much more differently, but this was the first time I actually did these eyes. This was me exploring more the style of doing eyes. I enjoy doing eyes like this. I feel like the face is a mask, and that's why I do this. but also these long necks, and you can definitely see the inspiration taken from this initially has now transformed into something that's my own. And these little flippy flips. My socialist side coming up, and also my experience of living here in apartments. These are all apartments in the back where we have constant renovations. Looking at this face now, this is such a pretty and delicate face. I've just noticed that. This is some beautiful, delicate work. But I feel that because we live in this particular society, it's something we experience a lot, the discontent of the middle class. What I love is that it then turns into a planchette and pickle ghosts or pickle people. I really like this illustration. I would like to explore it more. I just haven't as yet. Then we've got Not Today, Satan. I have diarrhea. I did have diarrhea. I just couldn't spell it and I went with it. And what I like about this face is that it kind of melds with the cover. And you'll see that I did this a few more times later in this junk journal. There's not much more to go. Some more body art of a mermaid, done before the whole mermaid controversy. Mermaids can be whatever color they fucking please. And this, looking back, I'm not too happy with this window. I don't think it really fits in. I wanted to have like a little landscape. This is what I ended up doing. I don't know, it feels unfinished, but this is a junk journal. So yeah. Love this. This is about like how what other people say about you is none of your business, but also like character assassination and how you have no control over that. It's something I want to explore more. This is an interesting page. Yes, I did air quotes again. I was trying to get like the shadows right. I'm not sure if I did this correctly, but it's a very like desolate landscape, and it's just this red yarn going throughout, telling a story over birch trees. What that story is, I don't know, but you can see as the piece connects, it just travels across the whole page so that it kind of makes sense. This one doesn't, it isn't connected here, but it's connected here. So maybe this is one to correct. I really love this. It's very weird. Okay, now we're getting into some other art. So I started doing this when the war in Ukraine started happening, and I felt like I just wanted to stay inside in my darkness and in my comforts, but there was all of this like conflict happening outside, and I felt really guilty about it. I felt guilty about my feelings. We had a family staying with us from Ukraine, and I was just really guilty about when they had to leave, and I felt extremely distressed. It was a lot of like emotional baggage to kind of deal with, and I felt it was just, it really knocked me off my feet. It knocked my creativity off its feet. The whole experience was daunting. And of course, for them more than for me, it was just really difficult. I don't know how else to explain it. I think you need to be extremely strong and qualified to go through that experience or know who you are like unscathed. And it was a terrible experience having people here that we really liked that had been through so much, and then also not being able to keep them safe forever. And this is also a part of that, because Michał and I just felt like such bad people when eventually the people that were staying with us had to leave. But we were also extremely distressed by the end of that experience. And finally we found that it's called empathic distress, and I started like reading up. I just felt like we weren't good people because we couldn't do enough. That being said, looking back on it, we did the best we could and we did enough. But yeah, I'm not trying to justify, by the way. I'm just trying to explain like why this was difficult for us, while also trying to say that that war and this war is not about us specifically. And this was another thing about me being a good person. This is a recent thing I did, and the last one, I would say This I did when I listened to the episode of Not a Real Artist, I don't know, 2 weeks ago maybe. We talk about Iris and her pastel creations, and I thought that would be a nice way to end this off. And I called her Muriel. I have no idea why. That is my junk journal. I think my most important takeaway from here is initially it started as really looking like someone else's, and then very quickly it became mine. And then as time went on, it also became just somewhere where I really was expressing what was happening in the moment, other feelings. This was something big for me. And then also these flaps and little bits and bobs really give you an opportunity to be creative. And I didn't realize how important this junk journal was in my development until I looked at it and I started talking the other day about junk journals. And now that I come back at it and look at it with fresh eyes and more understanding, I'm really excited to get started in my new one and let it just be what it needs to be. So thank you very much for joining me on this flip through. I hope to see you again. I'm gonna let you go to outro tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, tell me, subscribe if you haven't, and share this channel with any like-minded arty friends. It is a lot of weird stuff that I do. It is mixed media, and I also do talk a lot. Check out my Vlogmas, which is currently going on, and I don't know, what else can you do? You can check out all the places that I teach, check out my website, check everything, check me out. Okay, thank you very much, and with that, it's time to say bye!